Yeah? Ready? Let's do it. Whoa, it's so cool!
The rebuild process involved multiple specialists working on different parts of the car. Some focused on repairing structural damage, while others rebuilt key mechanical systems. Custom fabrication was used where original parts were not available. This meant creating components from scratch, adjusting designs, and carefully fitting everything together to make the car functional again. Even small parts require precision because the Bugatti system is extremely sensitive to changes. The engine, gearbox, cooling systems, and chassis all had to work perfectly together, or the car simply would not function properly. What makes this rebuild so impressive is not just that the car started again, but that it ran in a normal garage environment instead of a factory. The engine coming back to life symbolized more than just mechanical success. It represented determination, skill, and problem-solving. Many viewers saw it as proof that independent builders can achieve results that were once thought impossible. Even critics of modifications could not ignore the technical effort required. This foundation is important because it shows that the exhaust debate did not come from a simple modification, but from a much larger engineering achievement that brought a destroyed hypercar back into existence. To fully understand the debate, it is important to know what makes the engine of the Bugatti Chiron so special. At the heart of the car is a W16 engine, which means it has 16 cylinders working together in a very rare and complex layout. This engine is supported by 4 turbochargers, allowing it to produce extreme power, over 1,500 horsepower in most versions. This level of performance places it among the most powerful production engines ever made for a road car. However, this power does not come with a loud, wild sound like many people expect. Instead, it is carefully controlled and refined. The reason for this controlled sound is engineering choice. Bugatti designed the engine not just for speed, but also for comfort and luxury. The idea was to create a car that could reach incredible speeds while still feeling smooth and quiet inside the cabin. This means the exhaust system, turbochargers, and engine tuning all work together to reduce harsh noise and vibration. As a result, the original sound of the Chiron is deep, smooth, and calm rather than aggressive or sharp. When modifications are added, especially aftermarket exhaust systems, this balance changes. A louder exhaust does not simply improve the sound. It reveals mechanical noises that were previously hidden or reduced. Turbo sound become more noticeable, and exhaust pulses become sharper. Some people enjoy this because it feels more raw and emotional. Others feel it ruins the refined character that Bugatti carefully designed. This difference in philosophy is the core of the entire debate. It is not just about loud versus quiet. It is about whether a hypercar should feel like a controlled luxury machine or a loud performance beast. Both perspectives are valid, but they lead to very different opinions about what the car should sound like. The turning point in this story came when a custom Valvetronic exhaust system was installed on the rebuilt Bugatti Chiron. This system was designed to change how the car sounds when it starts and revs. Instead of the factory exhaust, which is tuned for refinement and smoothness, the new system aimed to make the engine sound more aggressive and expressive. When Mat Armstrong and his team started the car with this setup, the reaction was immediate. The sound spread quickly online, and viewers rushed to compare it with the original factory version. The main question was simple. Did the new exhaust improve the sound or ruin it? Supporters of the modification said the car finally matched its extreme power with more emotional sound. They felt that a 500-plus horsepower machine should not sound quiet or controlled. For them, the louder exhaust made the car feel more alive and exciting. It added drama and character, especially during startup and acceleration. On the other side, critics argue that the change removed what made Bugatti special in the first place. They believe the factory sound was part of the brand's identity and engineering excellence. Interestingly, many viewers felt the difference was not as large as expected. Some said the new exhaust only made the car slightly louder without changing the overall tone. Others said it sounded worse because it introduced roughness without improving clarity. This disagreement added more fuel to the debate. Instead of a clear better or worse result, the modification created two strong opinions that could not easily be resolved. This is what makes the situation so interesting. It is not a simple upgrade or downgrade, but a complete change in philosophy about what the car should represent. Once the sound comparison spread online, the reaction from fans was immediate and very divided. Many people in the comment sections of videos about the Bugatti Chiron expressed strong opinions. Some viewers said the new exhaust system did not change the sound enough to justify the effort or cost. They felt that the modification was unnecessary because the result was too close to the original factory sound. Others went further and said the new system actually made the car sound worse, removing the smoothness without adding real excitement. At the same time, there was a different group of fans who supported the change. They enjoyed the more aggressive tone and appreciated the creativity behind the rebuild done by Mat Armstrong and his team. For them, the sound felt more emotional and entertaining. They believe that modifications are part of car culture and that experimenting with sound is part of the fun. This group focused less on factory perfection and more on personal expression. The interesting part of this reaction is that both sides are passionate, but for different reasons. Critics focus on engineering purity and brand identity, while supporters focus on excitement and individuality. The comments section became a place where these two ideas clashed. However, it is also important to remember that online comments do not always represent the full audience. Often, people who strongly dislike something are more likely to comment than those who are satisfied or indifferent. This makes it difficult to measure the true overall opinion. Still, the intensity of reaction shows how emotionally connected people are to cars like the Bugatti Chiron and how deeply sound influences their perception and performance. Beyond the surface-level argument about exhaust sound, this situation reveals a deeper debate in car culture. The Bugatti Chiron represents factory perfection. It is designed by engineers who spent years balancing performance, comfort, and luxury. Every sound, vibration, and airflow decision is carefully planned. On the other hand, modifications represent freedom and creativity. Builders like Mat Armstrong show that cars can be rebuilt, changed, and personalized even after extreme damage. This creates two different philosophies. One side believes that cars should stay close to their original design because that design represents the highest level of engineering achievement. The other side believes that cars should evolve with their owners and builders, even if that means changing how they sound or feel. Neither side is completely right or wrong. Instead, they reflect different values. One values preservation, while the other values expression. In this case, the exhaust system became a symbol of that conflict. It is no longer just a mechanical part. It represents a choice between factory intention and personal interpretation. The debate also shows how modern car culture has changed. With social media, every modification becomes public instantly, and every opinion becomes part of a global discussion. This makes even small changes feel much bigger than they are. The Chiron exhaust situation is a perfect example of how engineering, entertainment, and online culture can collide. At the end of the discussion, there is no single correct answer about whether the modified exhaust on Bugatti Chiron is better or worse than the factory version. It depends entirely on personal preference. Some people will always prefer the smooth, controlled sound created by Bugatti engineers. Others will prefer the louder, more aggressive tone introduced by modification. Both views are valid because they are based on different expectations of what a hypercar should be. What makes the situation interesting is not just the sound itself, but what it represents. The rebuild done by Mat Armstrong shows that even extremely complex cars can be brought back to life outside official factories. The exhaust debate shows that even when a car is restored, its identity can still change depending on personal choices. This raises a bigger question for car enthusiasts. Should cars be preserved exactly as engineers designed them, or should they be shaped by the people who own and rebuild them? In the end, the Chiron sound is not just about noise. It is about identity, emotion, and philosophy. Whether quiet and refined or loud and aggressive, the car continues to be one of the most impressive machines ever created. And the fact that people are still debating its sound proves just how powerful and meaningful automotive design can be in today's world. Another important layer to this discussion is how aftermarket companies like Valvetronic are changing the performance sound industry. Systems like the Valvetronic exhaust are designed to give drivers control over how loud or quiet their car sounds, often using adjustable valves that can open or close depending on driving mode. In theory, this gives the best of both worlds, a quiet, refined sound for normal driving and a loud, aggressive sound when desired. However, when applied to a hypercar like the Bugatti Chiron, The results are not always predictable. The reason is that the original Bugatti sound is not simply quiet by accident. It is carefully engineered as part of a complex system involving turbochargers, airflow, and acoustic tuning. So when a new exhaust system is installed, it does not just increase volume, it changes the entire balance of how the engine's sound is perceived. This is why reactions are so mixed. Some people hear a more exciting and raw machine, while others hear a loss of refinement and harmony. What makes this situation even more interesting is how social media amplifies every detail. A single startup clip from a rebuild done by Mat Armstrong can reach millions of viewers within hours, and each viewer brings a different expectation. Some are engineers, some are casual fans, and some are just there for entertainment. This creates a very unstable opinion environment where the same sound can be praised as incredible by one group and criticized as ruined by another. In reality, the car itself has not changed in performance capability, but its identity has become a public debate. This shows how modern automotive culture is no longer just about machines. It is about perception, emotion, and shared online discussion. This debate around the modified Bugatti Chiron also highlights something deeper about how expectations shape opinions in the car world. When people hear about a hypercar that produces over 1,500 horsepower, they naturally expect a loud, aggressive, almost violent sound to match that performance. That expectation is shaped by other supercars and racing cars that often scream at high RPMs and create a very emotional audio experience. However, the Bugatti Chiron was never designed to follow that pattern. Instead, it was engineered to feel effortless. The sound is part of that philosophy. It is controlled, smooth, and almost calm, even when the car is capable of extreme speed. This contrast between expectation and reality is one of the main reasons the exhaust debate became so strong in the first place. When Mat Armstrong and his team installed a custom Valvetronic exhaust system, they unintentionally brought that expectation gap into focus. Many viewers expected a dramatic transformation in sound, something that would completely change the personality of the car. Instead, what they heard was more subtle. The difference was there, but it was not as extreme as some people imagined. This led to disappointment for some viewers who felt that the modification did not justify the effort or cost. Others, however, appreciated the slight increase in aggression, saying that even a small change was enough to make the car feel more exciting and personal. This difference in reaction shows how subjective sound really is. Unlike performance numbers like horsepower or acceleration times, sound cannot be measured in a way that produces a single correct answer. Two people can hear the exact same engine and come away with completely different interpretations. One might hear refinement and control, while another hears silence and lack of emotion. This is why discussions about exhaust systems are often so heated in car communities. They are not arguing about facts. They are arguing about feelings. Another interesting part of the situation is how it affects the perception of independent builders. The fact that a heavily damaged hypercar like the Bugatti Chiron could be rebuilt outside its factory by a team led by Mat Armstrong already challenged traditional ideas of automotive authority. But once the car was running again, every modification added on top of that rebuild became part of the public judgment. The exhaust system, in particular, became a test of whether independent engineering choices could match or respect factory-level design. For some viewers, the result proved that independent builders can successfully handle even the most complex machines. For others, it showed that factory engineering still has a level of refinement that is difficult to replicate or improve upon. As the discussion continues online, it becomes clear that this is not just about one car or one exhaust system. It is about how modern automotive culture is evolving. Cars are no longer just mechanical objects. They are content, identity, and debate topics. Every startup video, every rev, and every modification becomes part of a larger global conversation. In this environment, even a small change in exhaust tone can spark thousands of comments, comparisons, and arguments. And that is exactly what happened here. Continuing the story, the ongoing debate around the modified Bugatti Chiron also highlights how quickly opinions can form in the online automotive world, often before people fully understand the technical reality behind a modification. When viewers first hear the startup clip or a short rev of the engine, they are reacting emotionally in real time. There is very little context in those moments, no explanation of airflow changes, no comparison under controlled conditions, and no detailed breakdown of how the system actually affects performance or acoustics. Instead, what people experience is pure sound, and that sound is immediately judged as either good or bad. This instant reaction culture is one of the biggest reasons why the Valvetronic exhaust discussion became so intense. For Mat Armstrong and his team, this kind of reaction is part of the risk of sharing rebuild content publicly. Every decision made during a project like this becomes visible to millions of viewers, and every choice is open to criticism. Unlike factory engineers who test changes privately over months or years, content creators release their results immediately, often with limited testing time. This creates a situation where public opinion forms before the full picture is understood. In the case of the Chiron exhaust, many viewers reacted based on a short sound clip rather than a full driving experience, which naturally leads to mixed interpretations. Another important aspect is how expectations shape disappointment. The Bugatti Chiron is widely known as one of the most advanced hypercars in the world, and that reputation raises expectations for every part of the car, including sound. When a modification is introduced, people expect a dramatic transformation that matches the extreme nature of the vehicle. If the change feels subtle or only slightly different, some viewers interpret that as failure, even if the modification technically achieved its goal. This shows how perception can sometimes matter more than actual engineering results in public discussions at the same time. There's also a growing appreciation for the fact that independent builders like Mat Armstrong are willing to take on challenges that many professionals would avoid. Rebuilding a crash hypercar is not just a mechanical task. It involves sourcing rare parts, solving compatibility issues, and making decisions